Hey, let me ask you this. I was thinking about all kinds of stuff this morning I want to talk to you about as long as we're doing this kind of... Because we're doing Kick Out the Jams, which was, you guys did that in like 68, right?
Mm-hmm.
The height of like the civil rights movement and all this stuff, right? And I don't want to get all crazy political right now, but I had to ask you because this has been an incredible 10 days here with what's going on in the world right now. And I just was wondering, like, so... I mean, I've been talking to friends of mine, just saying, like, calm down. You can't sit here and project what's going to happen because there still are, even with a one-sided, completely Republican-run, democracy, that there are still checks and balances still in play, even as they're all there, right? But all my friends are freaking. I'm like, you got to calm down. You can react, and we'll have our day. If it goes completely bonkers. But like, you grew up in that period. I was just a kid. How do you, are you worried about the things? Like me and my friends are all worried that like civil rights things are gonna be rolled back, Roe v. Wade's gonna be rolled, like everyone's panicking in this kind of way. Like you've been around a while, just tell me, what do you think about what's happening with this? Without getting crazy political, obviously, but...
Let's get crazy political. What else is there?
Yeah.
It's the most interesting thing to talk about. Well, the framers were wise in building the system, the American experiment, with checks and balances, with the legislative, the courts, and the executive branch, to prevent demagogues and dictators from grabbing power.
Yeah.
So, as much as there's a great deal of concern about the president-elect, the system ain't gonna flex that much.
Yeah.
It's about a 5-degree swing from left to right.
So we don't have to all be worried like shit is going to completely go down the toilet right now. The whole country's going to go, the apocalypse is coming. I seriously, my friends and people that I've been talking about this last week, like, have been just beat up by it. And I'm like, I was too. And I'm going, but wait, there are still things in place to keep that from happening.
Well, change doesn't actually happen that quick. I'm always amused by change candidates. I mean, even Barack sold himself as a change candidate.
And got stuck in the same mire.
The current president is a change candidate. But the system is not designed to change. It's designed for more of the same, to keep everything moving forward bit by bit, piece by piece. Yeah. Change comes in one little piece of legislation, one court ruling, public opinion, and it happens over long periods of time, more than one sitting president, more than one Congress. Change happens very slowly. I mean, look, in the 1960s, I thought that reefer would be legalized next year or the year after. It's 50 years later, and it's finally happened. It took 50 years.
Yeah.
So, in a lot of ways, I think it's going to be an interesting few years to see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about, this... a demagogue uprooting everything, uprooting my life.
Yeah. I was asking you have a 3-year-old son, right?
Right.
So, and I got an 8-year-old daughter and a 26-year-old daughter. So it's like, I wanted to just get your take on it because I have friends, just losing their mind grapes over this stuff. And I'm like, hold on. Yeah. Everyone's got to just calm the fuck down for a minute because, it ain't the apocalypse can't just happen overnight.
No, it's not set up. There's some pretty good safeguards built in. I mean, and already, the things that he talked about on the campaign trail, he's discovering that you don't just walk in and by fiat declare that all this stuff is going away now, and I'm going to come up with something, and it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be terrific. You're going to love it. And this shit don't work that way. It's way more complicated than that.
Yeah.
So,
He's going to get spanked, I think, when he walks in office. Because his own party's going to, dude, that wall thing, that's not really going to happen. We got to just tamp that down a little
his
bit.
own party isn't actually his own party. I mean, he's got as many problems with the Republican Party as he does with the Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a Democrat before he was a Republican.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be an interesting few years. And probably some good art will come out of it.
Oh,
artists
shit,
seem
yeah.
to get bees in their bonnets, and they start grinding out some vivid work. And
Yeah.
that's always good.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Artists are always the point of the spear. I think oftentimes artists are hypersensitive. They see things. They are affected by things. And it goes into the art, and then it comes out and carries a message or carries a vision of a way things might be.
Yeah. Music and art, I think both of them kind of can react to that kind of tension, that sort of political tension in a funny way, which is good. I think it's a good release. I think people feel that.
I feel like part of my job is kind of reporting on the news as I see it, whether it's internal news or external news.
Yeah.
However, if I can be honest in how I feel about something, and I can convert that into a song, chances are somebody else feels that way too, because we all have the same feelings. We all have fear, and we all have hope, and we all have aspirations and concerns. And the trick is, do you have the courage enough to be honest about it and do the work to get it in a song?
Yeah.
For me, I mean, sometimes it takes me 15 years to write a song,
By that time, that presidency will have already changed again several times.
Right. You're right. You're right.
I haven't really, I haven't sat down and written a politically motivated song per se. I mean, I have thoughts and stuff that I put into my lyrics and stuff once in a while, but I don't really get too much into that because I still there's just so much to learn. I mean, I'm my age, I'm still trying to figure out where is this stuff going, and what does it mean, and how does it really affect me? And I still have a lot of questions about it. I don't really have an idea. I have no idea what the heck's going on, really. I don't think any of us do, because we're not politicians. But if you still have a lot of questions, you can't really. I don't feel like I should be penning anything per se until I have solid answers to shit going wrong or shit going one way or the other that I can put in my cranium and know for fact. You know what I mean? So I'll hint around it, hint around a little bit, and talk about it. Try, hopefully raise the question people can ask themselves, figure it out. There's gonna be a lot of room for that coming up.
Yeah, I don't think we want to preach to anybody. I don't think we want to.
That's not our job.
Songwriting is not a didactic art form.
Yeah.
I mean, we use metaphor.
Yeah.
And the metaphors grant us a lot of latitude.
Yeah.
Of what exactly is he talking about? Which is good. It makes for better art.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if you got to narrow it down to a kind of do this, do that.
I feel like you're
people are going to go, I don't need somebody else telling me what to think.
Right? Don't need someone else telling me what I should be or shouldn't be doing. I mean, there's enough of them out there already. So screw that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I mean, if we're just honest, and say this is how I feel, I'm and I can put it in some kind of poetic form, that I'm concerned or I'm afraid. That's enough, because to me, what great art has always done is told me I'm not alone. You know, like when Picasso painted Guernica, you know,
Right.
like people were upset about that painting. You know, I mean, he was hated by the critics. You can't put body parts in a painting and bombings. And,
Yeah.
But you know, Picasso was upset about war. He saw the horror of it,
Yep.
and he put it into his work. So when I look at Guernica, it's like he's sending me a message across time, you know, like this is
Yeah.
how he felt. And it
Shit,
makes me feel like, geez, that's how I feel about it too. So I'm not the only nutcase out here, you know. That, you know, maybe somebody else feels this way, you know. And I think that gives us a place in our time, you know, a identity and a sense of community, you know, that like if you like a particular Tribe Called Quest song and I like that song,
Yeah.
then we meet together in that song. You know, we
Yeah.
share that together. So, you know, that gives us some unity, some community, some connection between us.
Yeah.
Because the isolation is the problem. Connection is the answer, you know. And as long as we can connect, then, you know, then we have a fighting chance.
Man, on that note, you are right on, brother. I love you lots. It's great to see you again, man. Craig fucking Finn. Come on in, bud.
All right. These are questions that came in from the internet. Nicholas Nunzi in Brooklyn. This is a question for Tommy. He's asking about Minneapolis, but I guess to boil it down, he wants to know if you have a favorite Husker Du song.
Nope.
No.
No. Played with them a bunch, toured them a whole lot. I'll be frank, I wasn't really a big fan.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't. And it's not like it was like a bad thing. It's just like I like Black Flag.
They didn't move you.
No.
Okay. Interesting.
Sorry.
Wow. All right. No,
God,
I
it
think
probably
that's a
sounds
good
terrible
answer.
to say that, but it's the reality.
Fascinating. Teresa Markham in Chicago starts out with an OMG and then says, this is for Wayne, what compelled the MC5 to show up at the Democratic Convention when everyone else had bailed?
Well, we didn't know everyone else had bailed till we got there. Then we realized, geez, they all had a lot more sense than we did. But, you know, we just felt like we would play at any opportunity, and we had played a lot of, we were kind of like a community band, you know, and our community was there to carry a message to the Democrats, and we wanted to be part of it. So we did that stuff all the time.
Sure.
It was absolutely normal for us.
Right. Cool.
We need more of that now. I'll tell you that right now.
Seems like it. John Forbes writes in another question for Wayne. Ask Wayne if he felt gang war was a missed opportunity and how he would rate Johnny Thunder's dancing.
How would I rate Johnny Thunder's
That's the question, yeah. Dancing.
dancing?
Yeah.
Well, he was unique. He had his own style. And what was the first half of the question?
Do you feel like gang war was a missed opportunity?
Well, of course it was. You know, it looked good on paper.
Sure.
You know, two band leaders, two guitar players from separate cities, and joining forces and going to go out and rock the world. But you know, you can't hardly talk about that band or that era in my experience without talking about addiction.
Yeah.
And anytime addiction, whether it's alcohol or opiates or amphetamines, or gambling or sex or food for that matter, anytime that you have behaviors that take priority, then the thing you're trying to do is going to suffer. So anytime we had something that we tried to accomplish, we always had to cop first. Mm-hmm. And so that was actually the priority. And it was all kind of doomed from the beginning. I mean, it was a missed opportunity, but in reality, it never had a chance.
Sure. How much touring did you do in that?
as much as you can do in a year or
Okay.
18 months that it lasted.
Yeah.
Up and down the East Coast and around the Midwest once. And
Because I don't know if you remember, Tommy, but I'm pretty sure that there was a really cool gang war poster in Norfolk for years.
I think the story is, if I recall this correctly, you guys played the entry, 7th Street entry, and blew up Bob Mould's guitar amp, and he was stoked about it. If I remember this story right, he probably tells it better, but you guys played, and one of you blew up his little Fender or whatever, and he was like pretty elated by that.
That's cool. That's cool.
My Ooskadoo story, I pulled on my ass.
And one more for Tommy. Why have you waited a quarter of a century between Bash and Pop records?
That's a really fucking good question, bub. It wasn't really about waiting. It was more about, I think the material that I wrote for new record was reminding people of the Bash and Pop record I did back in the 1900s, and because it was reminding people of that, and it wasn't a solo record per se, like me by myself. It was a band record. It made sense to call it that record, call it Bash and Pop, and I had to think a lot long and hard on it because I wasn't really sure I felt comfortable doing that because two of the members of Bash and Pop had died. And it's a different band, but the material is like, it's similar in its makeup, very sort of kind of rock and roll rootsy kind of thing, which it's my flesh and blood basically of that kind of music.
Cool. Well, that's what I got for you guys.
Good. Let's get out of here.
thanks.
Thanks, guys.